everybody's talking about chatbots, bots, failures, good examples, but many bad examples. That's also something what I've observed in conferences, that many who pioneered, tried to pioneer and failed, coming back now with bad experience reporting. Yeah, it's normal, okay, but it's too many at the moment. And on the other side, we have too less who actually can come back with really good examples of success stories and which are convincing directly. Yeah, so and we will also see in the matter of my presentation. And I think you will see from the figures and from the logic, which was also applied, that this is something, yeah, if you don't do it, then the question of entrepreneurial mindset. Yeah, so the question of if entrepreneurial mindset in the end really is applied, if companies do not follow, doesn't need to be the exact example like I'm showing, but the mindset of going there. Is very, very crucial. And here, for me, that's sometimes really a question of entrepreneurial mindset, to seeing investment numbers with return on investment, high rates, and then still not applied. This is, yeah, I think then it needs to be also some change. But let's look into my use case. And it is about 4 million of a benefit in this case, yeah. And the, let's say, the cash or how much benefit comes out always depends on numbers, yeah, number of your users, and of course your own number in workflows. We would see this. The good thing is here we are talking about 4 million for just 5 workflows in P2P, yeah? Just 5. And I guess everybody knows there are dozens of, depending on the size of your company, the size of your complexity of systems and processes, there can be many workflows which can be automated in an easy way, without repercussions and without actually having the need to let people also go. And but we will see this in this use case. There are 3 main things which are always repeating, and I've seen this in all companies I've worked really for, and I have 17 years of experience in procurement. I'm coming from procurement, but also around up to 8 years plus with P2P, S2P, all other finance related processes, supply chain, quality, material master management, vendor management. And the thing is, the more users you have, the problems are always the same. They're just repeating. So you have at some point a high process complexity, high repetitions of work. Yeah, so manual workload, manual things which have to be done during the workflow, always again and again. It's really like you're standing at in the automotive manufacturing site and doing every day the same things. Yeah, so and over years. No, this is one thing. It is also it is a blocker. It's a barrier. So when we talk about company growth, when we talk about becoming more lean, more profitable, more higher, let's say, profit through shareholder values, while you have less operational costs. And this is what it is. So all these workflows which are manually done day by day by many people, there are operational costs. Just simple. These are operational costs. And there are even operational costs inside those which are hidden. So let's say not inside, they're on top, they're coming on top. And these hidden costs, we will come, especially in this use case, also into more clarity. So the other thing is user experience. I've met rarely any user who joyfully worked with the system. I mean, really. So this is not ironical. It is a little bit of irony inside, but there's always truth. Yeah. So I hardly know anyone who is not an expert in systems, who likes to work with Ariba, with SAP, who likes to create purchase orders all the day, who likes to create purchase requisitions, follow up on invoice exceptions, do vendor master management. So you name them all. There are not many people who like it. Yeah? So, and it is usually user experience. So, and this user experience is really outdated. And here AI can help a lot, and automation of workflows. So, and yeah, as I mentioned it already, these unsustainable mundane workflows. If you have 1,000 of users, they're doing 1,000 users per day are doing a couple of minutes of unnecessary work, non-value added work, and it's adding up in the year. Yeah, so it's adding up. The more users you have, it's just mathematics, and we will see this now in a couple of minutes. So Luke, can you switch to the next? Yeah. So to the benefits, there are more benefits. Yeah, but for me, these are one of the real core benefits when we talk about AI conversational chatbots, including with action prompting, and it is so. The type of how you want to design it, what is your intent? Yeah, so what do you want to do with this chatbot? If you see a chat or action bot just as a one-time action, okay, I implement it and it's going to live, and no, if it's not this. Yeah, so it must be seen as I'm implementing and I'm letting it grow and help it into maturity. So it's like a baby, and you have to educate it, you have to bring it into to train it and educate it in the way you want to have it. And the better you do it, the more the intent behind is also good cost. So what I mean with good cost is, as soon as the intent becomes that you want really to help your employees, yeah? So you want really to help them to free them up from unnecessary, sometimes idiocy work. Yeah, you want to have them less frustrated. You want to have less of them actually depressed also. You want to have less of them doing errors, yeah, because they're doing errors at some point, because they are in a tunnel vision. They don't see anything else anymore. So if you want to help them so that they can thrive, so that they can actually start using their real time for more creative work, I'm thinking always about the scientists. Yeah? So a scientist shouldn't work in a system. He shouldn't create a purchase requisition, approve the invoices, and make goods receipt. No, the person should be in a laboratory, work on vaccines, work on medicine, or anything else. Yeah? What can be in pharmaceutical companies, especially helpful for the mankind, for people. And you will see also here on the numbers that there is a lot of work, time, and efforts wasted by people, not because of their fault. It's because of the processes and the use of the systems actually. Yeah? So, and in nowadays age, we don't need to go that way. We can have it easier, and it leads anyway. Operational cost reduction of human errors. Highly repetitive workflows ending up. So you can also utilize your in-house resources during developments and testing, which I have done in my previous company very successfully. This technology is really off the shelf. It exists since more than 5 to 10 years. There's no risk in using it. There's even no twitching and working on the system. Yeah, it's pure just connecting and more about configuration. And when you're really successfully implemented at least your few workflows and did the bot system like I've designed it, you can also do differently. But if you have a bot and you wanted to do a new one, then you can start with bot-to-bot connection, communication. Yeah? And this is then just let's say propelling the benefits. Yeah? So the outcome is over proportional afterwards. The more of them are communicating, of course, properly, it must be designed properly and engineered properly, but the more of them communicate together, the more they really will automate your non-value added activities. And this will drive down costs, operational hidden costs especially. Yeah? So we talk here also about hidden costs. And hidden costs are if a person actually is calculated for, let's say, a person costs $50 an hour. Okay, so this is how the company calculates. So in this job, the calculation is, okay, this person has done this and this and this. Now, in the case of if the person has now to do something additionally on top in order to be able to do that job, yeah, it's not calculated. You have operational hidden costs. So, and this is not an easy thing to find in your books and records. No? But it will go automatically down, and probably some companies will even be surprised why things are working now much more better and costs are much more better. They will probably even not realize that this exists, but yes, that's the reality. Huh? It's existing, and it's hardly actually calculated also that way. So, but for me also one of the main key aspects here is the execution in business. So everybody will become faster. Now, let's say procurement becomes faster in communicating with supplier and actually also doing the workflow actions to the supplier. The other way around as well. This means also that your sales and OTC department will be much more quicker. So this, and including the GBS. So for me, what I've seen in my 17 years, it was always this triangle of procurement, stakeholders, and the GBS, where communication were not working, where cooperation did not work, and therefore even more hours were spent. So imagine one thing: you have a workflow like I want to set up a vendor. Who doesn't know this one? Yeah, so it can become really complex. Yeah, so the shared service center comes back and it requires additional documents. Yeah, so the requisitioner has no clue what to do now. Hardly had communication with the supplier. Now involves somebody from procurement. Procurement person says that's actually not my job, so let somebody else do. Okay, so you see, you have one workflow and already 4 to 5 people involved. Your costs are just exploding up, hidden. Yeah, so, and nobody's actually talking and putting them down, but they are existing there. And on the other hand, it's frustrating your employees. It's frustrating your employees because the processes are not working properly also. Many people need to be come in from the side and help again. And this is what it is. So somebody is doing something, is not being able to do it properly, and therefore creates all kinds of other things and errors and people who needs to do something. And here, the concept of having an AI conversational action bot is actually wonderful, and we will just, I mean, from my point of view and from what I have heard from audiences feedback from previous, or let's say this year's also conferences. And but I will leave this to you, and let's look on another slides. So this just as an summary what I've already said now. So there's a lot of flexibility. There are, of course, also a lot of providers. The devil is in the details, but there are many providers with reasonable costs. We will see them in a few minutes. You can start a pilot with a low invest everywhere you want. And to give you a frame, we are talking here about SAP S4 system. But it works also, of course, with an ECC system. But in this case, I've done it on the S4 and with an Ariba system. So, and MS Teams. And I hardly know anybody today who has not MS Teams anymore. I mean, installed and working on it all the time. I guess at least half of you is using Teams at work. And having this out of this platform where everybody is already working on is actually even more efficient. And you can connect from there also anything else, really anything else. There are plenty of freedom of room actually for you, how you can tailor this and customize this on your needs, your business needs. So just going quickly through it. So user experience, what I said is the thing with, the scientists, they don't need to do it anymore. Luckily for them, completely. And even if they would have to be involved again, it will be now just like just using a few seconds and the answers are already there and the actions are already done. So not much no involvement from anybody anymore anyway. And this will increase the execution. So the business execution will become much more faster, and people will be happier. They will be happier, and they will have this feeling of finally I can do my work in a normal way and without exceptions during the process all over the day. So, and this brings also a different atmosphere back to people. So they will be more focused and concentrated. And the new work world, the scalability. So I said this with the bot-to-bots. Here, just a background of the technology or technical requirements in my case. As I said, you have Microsoft Teams, you have SAP Ariba and S/4HANA system. You just need also Azure platform license, and talking about an SAP CIE web chat license and an RPA desk. So the RPA desktop agent is not 100% necessary. So if you want to use it out of Teams so that everybody can use it, you don't need a desktop agent. If you want to start low just with a pilot somewhere, you can then just use a desktop agent, so that it's only accessible from there. You can, of course, also restrict it, but the thing here with the desktop agent is if you use it out of Teams, you can utilize the licenses of Teams already everybody has, and you will not have the need to, let's say, if you have thousands of users, that thousands of desktop agents need to be installed and so on. It will cost more, but it's also possible. Yeah, so you have these two possibilities, and yeah, and then just in easy words, because I'm not going into the deep technology now here, but really in easy words, you're connecting. So what you're doing is you're connecting really the chatbot, the AI conversational chatbot, with Ariba and SAP. So now what it is doing? It's doing two things. So either you can ask for information. Yeah. So for example, what is the status of my supplier invoice? Yeah, you don't even need to write it down. Yeah, you just give the reference number of the invoice, put it in, and a chatbot gives then the information like, okay, it's in a blocked status. Yeah, it has an invoice exception. So now it comes. It has an invoice exception. The vendor master data needs to be corrected. This and this document is missing. So do you want me to send an email to the vendor master data department? So you can think now the workflow even further through. Yeah, but this is all possible. You can build the workflow this way that almost I don't know, 80 to 90% of everything gets automated. And when you or your employees just kicking in, they really have to do just the brain work. The final brain work, checking work, monitoring maybe, or exceptions. Yeah? So in the exceptions, there are always exceptions, but yeah, this is the case. Yeah, we can switch to the next one. And here you can see which which workflows in the P2P process I concentrated on. When you look on the upper left side, you can see the mass purchase requisition creation. So I started actually with, I want to have an action bot. So this means I'm prompting the bot with an action. So in this case, the user goes to the bot and says, please create a PR for me. So the bot will now give a few fields in the chat where you can put in the information, yeah, the bot needs in order to create it, or you can have a template where the user just fills in the data, uploads it into the bot, and then the bot is doing following. He connects to Ariba, sets up an ad hoc PR or whatever PR it is filling all the data in, is sending it out for approval. Yeah? You can also work the workflow in the way that it will detect errors, yeah, before they're actually sent out, and you can also do it that they're detected afterwards. Then you can also check that the bot can correct things on his own already. So and afterwards even you can approve the PR through the bot. So in a nutshell, you are actually avoiding for the users in the future to, and even if you have single sign-on, but to go to this system, in order to do this and that. So the person will be able to make much more from a central point. You can see it actually like it is, for me, this is like an extended workbench. It's not replacing any person. It is actually giving you a toolbox, everybody a toolbox, like a phone, yeah. So, or a panel where you have all kind of things you can actually access and do without using another panel and so on. Yeah? It's going more into the future thinking of streamlining things. Where you have more concentration on the real tasks and real value, while all the other stuff, which is really process and system related, and it's just a must, yeah, but not value added, can be then done easily, yeah, easy without any huge involvement from anybody else. And so in here, just as an overview, you can see what is already today all possible. So from the P2P process, from an automation perspective. And this is almost actually everything in an end-to-end perspective. But as I said, there are always exceptions, and this is just one thing. There are things in there are things in the workflow which should not necessarily be automated directly right away. So why? Because there are invoice exceptions. I've run for 2 years a team of, in the beginning, it were 29 invoice exception experts who were doing the whole day nothing else than really checking the invoice exceptions of users. So now if you have thousands of users, they have thousands of these exceptions every month. And there are things which can't be just automated, yeah, because somebody still needs to make a decision. Somebody needs to think a little bit, or at some point the bot with the automated workflow comes to an end, yeah, where there is no further ado. And here then the information should come back from the bot also. All right, I have, let's say, no answer to this question, but I can connect you to somebody who will help you then. Yeah, so on over the phone or over Teams, and over Teams probably. Yeah, please.
So Dario, just looking at what's on the screen there then. So
yeah.
this is like an example of within Teams itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like how easy it is just to, what would you do? Just write a question, and then would it sort of automatically triage you in the right direction, open the right workflow?
Yes, exactly. And here the thing is, because it's AI conversational, it will understand your question also just by giving him a reference. Yeah? But it will also understand you by being a sophisticated writer of the sentence. Yeah? And this is something what, of course, needs to be trained. Yeah? And my recommendation is to everybody is in the first 12 months. The first 12 months are very crucial, where the bot is learning and needs to get corrected from the errors. And the dead ends he's coming to, so that you can build these automated workflows even further and test them also properly, so that they are working. And then it is becoming a wonderful thing. But I've seen mistakes and failures because of too low testing and too much, let's say, optimism that a complicated, very, very complicated workflow could be easily automated. Yeah? And this is what I mean. So it's you can automate it a lot, but you should not automate a few things because they can lead to more problems.
But it's great to see how simple this is just for a casual user. Like if you're on the phone with a supplier and you want to know what's happening, you could just punch it in. Don't have any complicated logins to get into it.
Yeah, that's nice. So it's the same application, then you just go into the next. Yeah, this is it. This is the idea behind. And here you see an example for a guided buying. So guided buying where the internal users helped to how to buy the right hardware, for example, in this case, which laptop it is. And here I've seen, and you will laugh, maybe many people are thinking it's trivial, but I've seen many users who failed already in the first step by creating the ticket. So creating a ticket and then seeing 30 different tick boxes of services, and nobody actually knows what to tick. And here the bot actually can help already as well. Yeah? So by saying to the bot, I want to create a ticket for a laptop, and then he's already opening up the ticket, has pre-populated the things needed, and then he's asking questions like, what kind of a laptop do you need, and probably you can see already through your personal ID where you're working, which function, and what you're actually entitled to have, and so on and so on. Yeah? And it shall also lead you to the point where you have not maverick buying. For example, I mean, if you have a lot of users, then you should anyway have standardized, let's say, equipment. Yeah, but I've seen also companies where they haven't or didn't have, and this can also lead to maverick buying. Yeah, that everybody's buying wherever it wants, and this can lead then to cost efficiency losses. Yeah, and also to problems with procurement. Yeah? So we know this. That's normal. And the numbers you see now, they are based really on the 5 workflows. So let me repeat them: creating requisitions, approving requisitions, checking invoice status, I think making the goods received, and the pending invoice approval. So for just those workflows, and including the AI conversational bot, which replaced then the FA, so it replaced the help desk, especially for all recurrent and frequent questions, and furthermore, it is the enabler then for the information and the actioning, the prompting. So you can go back now to the perfect. So what you see here is an investment for those workflows and the bot. There is, in my case, of course, it depends which service provider you use. It depends on the man days, costs, and so on. In this case, I had a very good service provider I worked already with for the last couple of years, and the man days costs were good. let's say comparably also to others, but it will depending then, yeah. So as I said, depending on which service provider you use. But in my case, there was not much more needed than 150,000. Yeah? So 150,000 as an one-time investment. A one-time investment. Yeah? So we really talk about just a one-time investment, and then going on a yearly license, so on a yearly cost, running costs, which are then not more than actually your license costs. Okay, so your license costs after a year. Yeah, so and this is why I said the first 12 months are very important. Yeah, so here you should really put all the efforts and then energy in, because if not, then you will end up with costs later on. Yeah? And will not benefit just from your running costs. But also here, you will see this will be trivial against what you're actually benefiting. So, and the running costs on the licenses, yeah, it's a drop of water compared to what you get back, really. Yeah? So, and on the license thing, it's the more users you have, this means the more messages are sent between user and chatbot, the more messages you will have per year, and then you will have costs per year. But also here, you can see it, you're paying 5 cents for 1,000 messages per month, for example. Yeah? And this is really also not much. And the more you get, actually, you can also go negotiate other packages with the companies. So, okay. Yep. And now this is now the main slide. So remember, 150,000 is a one-time invest, and basically from those workflows, you are saving, first of all, in a year, per year. This is something, I don't know if this is easily understood, but this is something what I had to explain in my previous company a couple of times. So they asked me how is this possible? 14 million minutes savings of work time per year. How is this possible? So I said, yeah, if you calculate it from all the 5,000 users who are frequently working in the system, then this is this is the time actually which is then used per year by all, unnecessarily, non-value added. And the saddest thing is actually, you today know already that this money is already wasted, and the time is already wasted, because it's just for mundane non-value added things, and you could change this. So you can change here even 3 things and improve 3 things. And this was also the reason why I have made this presentation in the end to really show. And because I had the challenge that my CFO asked me, where's my cashback, my direct cashback? And the other challenge was, yeah, if you want to have a direct cashback, you of course have to lay people out. Yeah. So, but that's not what you're doing, okay? Because you would otherwise play into the fears of your employees, right? It's your employees actually who are fearing and scared of and concerned that through the implementation of AI and automation, they will lose their jobs. But this case here actually show the opposite of it. It will not kick them out and then let them lose their jobs, because it is actually more, it should be seen as an enlargement, an extended workbench, the new digital, I call it digital exoskeleton, which will make them more powerful and more quicker, more faster in things. So in executing things. And the other side of the coin, of course, is after some time, let's say a year, you will see, as soon as you have freed up time from your employees, and you then of course expect that they reuse this time then for the more valued work, the creative work, or the things they actually working on, the projects, whatever it is, what brings the turnover in. So if here you see then, of course, after a year or a couple of time, that there's not coming this cash back from them back. Yeah. So let's say they are not even appreciating that they have now more time to do this, then you will, of course, do what every entrepreneur is doing. This is then the natural course of way. So you will then get loose of people who are not bringing the full, let's say, potential to it. But this is another story. So this is a natural, normal story for me. But in this case, you're not laying anybody off. So now my CFO still said, where's my cashback? And I said to him, you will definitely get your cashback. You will reduce your operational costs immediately. With the first day of implementation and usage, where 5,000 in this case, 5,000 users don't need to go anymore into Ariba manually, don't need to set this all up in Ariba manually, but just can go into Teams and create it from there. Will have an immediate effect on all your operational hidden costs. And these 4 millions actually, yeah, they are recalculated. They are recalculated here into 40 FTEs. But again, the 4 million is a cost, and it's a benefit saving actually, which you don't see directly in your records. And this is something what is difficult in a way of convincing pure financial people. Yeah? So when you ask for money, you get the business case. Yeah, where's the direct hard cashback? So here I think there must be also a bit of a mindset change, because if you don't do it at all, you will just fall back more and more and more. You also have to think it that way. There is a bunch of companies in this world who are jumping not only on the train, but they're already riding with this wave. Yeah? So what they are doing there is basically, of course, they have maybe investments, but they're investing in the future, because they will in the future be faster than all the other ones before. And the longer you wait now, the longer the time in the end will be, you are catching up. And I'm not saying that every company needs to automate everything, but I recommend every company to look into it. And if there's an investment of, let's say, 150K, look, depending on the size of a company, I have asked, I mean, I'm really open and direct. Yeah, maybe this is a little bit of my German attitude, but after 3 rounds of my former CFO, I asked him then another question. I asked him, how many times actually you or the company have invested $150,000 into something which ended up into really nothing, where we knew from the beginning it's ending up into nothing and it's also not bringing anything. But here it's about 150K, which will help all your people. And it will eventually also be seen in your records, but you just have to give it a bit of a time. So again, the entrepreneurial mindset here for me is, I think, is a crucial thing, and maybe needs to be rediscussed in a holistic way. But
yeah, you've certainly convinced me. It looks like from that table at the bottom, Dario, it looks like it was the help desk, purchase requisition, and invoice status. Were those like the 3 biggest areas for savings?
Yeah, the help desk, the highest number of questions were 11,000, I think, per year, and this was the invoice status of the supplier. Really, and this was also the story why it ended up with so many invoice exceptions, and that we had to have a team actually to help all the users before we found a solution how to at least almost automate it.
Great. Again, does anyone in the group have any questions for Dario on this? He's presenting here a very detailed business case. Now's your chance to ask him about it. And again, you could put questions in the chat if you want. Actually, I see there that
maybe to make it look one thing easier for the audience is also to understand. So the charts or the tables you see, they are blueprints. So what you actually can do is you just have to replace those numbers with your own numbers. So starting with your total business users, your volume, the volume those users have per year, and then just you have to check the time. This is so when you look at the how many minutes, I've really checked how many minutes they did it. So not just with one person. So it took me, I think, around 3 months. 3 months to interview dozens of people and take also dozens of data to find averages. And even if the numbers here seem to be quite high, so still think this is a 100% manual thing. What is behind this process step? Still, I can tell you, this is conservative. That's really conservative. Yes, the numbers can be even higher. I've really met users where I thought this is impossible, but yeah, it's possible. Everything is possible, and you know how it works. You will never. It's just my experience, but you will never train every user on the same level. Never. You will get never them on the same level. So rather than trying to force them into something, so forcing them into some kind of a frame which they will not fit in and also will not cope in the future because they will not develop to fit in, help them actually to make it easier for them so that they just do the brain work they have to do. No?
Yeah. We've got a couple of questions coming in for you, Dario. So one of them is from Timo, who says, obviously understand it's very individual, but what partners could you recommend for this type of bot setup? That's question one. So how would you get started? Who would you recommend as a partner? Then the second question from Thomas is, what is the data in the Excel table based on in time? Is it a result of how much the AI is doing after a year, a month in? What's the time span that data is based over?
Oh, all right. So maybe starting with the second question, because it will be easier.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when you look into the table, the time you see the average used per person. This is the time which was used before, of course.
But the time is in the space of a year, is it?
Yeah. This is calculated on a year. You see, this is the annual volume as well. Again, this is a remarkable thing. So this is actually really the numbers just out of 1 year. So it's high. It's really high.
So it's saving 26 years in a year.
Correct. Yeah. And again, it is just on 5 workflows. There are more workflows, even more. And now thinking about not P2P, but what about finance workflows, reconciliations, report to record, OTC. There are many of those things which are in the same way can be automated out of the same bot and can be operated out of the same bot. And here the design of the bot can also be that everybody looks or works with the same bot, but the bot can also understand who you are. Again, looking on your ID, looking into the file, or let's say into the internal data, and understands what is your position and what are you allowed to do, what are you allowed to see. Securing here automatically segregation of duties. Also being actually able to run controls much more easier. And yeah, if you're in a SOX environment, this is just a win-win, a super win. Yeah. So I mean, I had to work with SOX the last 3 years manually, and this was a pain.
Yep. And then so yeah, would you mind doing the other question as well, please, about partners? In fact, and I believe, Dario, you yourself could be interested in having conversations with people, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I am working as a senior partner for Sapiens 2P, and yeah, we are actually a professional service company who's implementing exactly those technology on those platforms, and also able to make the advisory part. Yeah, so from not just how to implement it, but also working if it is needed with the stakeholders, working also with the leadership on the vision itself. Yeah, and this is the good thing here. It's because it is so scalable and modular. Every client, actually, or customer or company can set their own pace, let's say, where they want to start and how long it should take and so on. So here there is no pressure at all. It's just about making a decision, and then really moving forward. This is important.
Do you mind if I share your Gmail in the chat? So if anyone wanted to follow up with some questions after this, is that the best way to get hold of you?
Maybe the business ID directly, I would say.
Yeah.
But it can also be both. Yeah, so I'm fine. Sure.
Yeah. Well, so I've got your Gmail. Let me I'll just pop your Gmail on here as well, right? Okay. And then if there's any other link you want to share too, and then another follow-up question from Thomas there. So the time here is over 12 months, but then he's asking, how long does it take to train the AI to actually start to become useful? So it's not just a case of just turning it on and immediately you get these results in year 1. What's the time lag before it becomes productive, please?
So let's say the whole project timeline here, when you start from the beginning with your bot, the chatbot, until the info and action bot workflows, they're all designed. We had around 21 weeks. So of course, that's not 21 weeks laissez-faire. Yeah, so you have to do it really seriously. You have to work on it, and it is then possible to do it in 21 weeks. But 21 weeks are enough in order to design the bot that he is doing the workflows properly as you have designed them. Yeah? So, but of course, this time will not be enough and sufficient to make your bot conversational, yeah, so that he will be more sophisticated, that he will understand also just half of a sentence, whereas he at the moment just understands the sentence when it's written out in full. Yeah? So these things you need to train after the implementation. And here what I said is 12 months. So the first 12 months after the implementation, they are very important. You don't need a big team, but at least a person, at least one person, yeah, who's monitoring it, who needs to follow up errors, mistakes, dead ends. Yeah, so to build this up, this is needed, but hey, that's still not a lot. Yeah?
Okay. We're getting close to the end of the session now, Dario. So I just wondered if you wouldn't mind just finishing off, just talking about all the other use cases, because the business case was in P2P, but you're saying there's many other ways you could use this type of tech.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I named already a few, but here this is a very good overview. Where I observed in the last 3 years a lot of manual workload, which can be automated, is GR and IR clearing, you know, statement reconciliations, setting up tickets, inquiries for your travel and entertainment. But I think many companies have this already, but still, who not? This is it's just inevitable. Yeah, it's perfect to be automated, but you can do even more. PO closure. If you have a lot of POs, it's very useful to have a program, at least a program which runs overnight, and makes clearing and it closes also POs. So this is at least, but having this out of the bot where you just can prompt it and say close, it's a great win, because usually you have to either contact procurement or whoever who has the rights to do it, etc., etc. And yeah, intercompany is also a very good example. And in supply chain, depending on how your supply chain is set up, but there are, through the connection to SAP directly, you can do also a lot here. Yeah? And yeah, there are, and this is just a small overview. Honestly, the world out there, what is all possible? It's immense. It's so vast. It's so big, and it will give us so much opportunities, even more and more in the future. And now with ChatGPT, so ChatGPT can works already in procurement and helps, and the same with spend analytics, where the AI is helping you and giving you tips and recommendations which supplier to tackle, to reduce the payment terms with them, because otherwise you're giving too much cash out. This is all existing and working already like a standard.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dario. I've shared your email on the chat if people want to message you, but also you're also you've got a membership profile within PharmaSource community as well. So if anyone wants to go in and have a conversation with Dario, he's there. That's probably one of the sort of the easiest ways to get in touch. Got a couple of minutes. Has anyone got any final questions before we wrap this up?
Just a quick one, Dario. You've got onboarding procedures listed there and the other functions. Is that employee onboarding, or is that supplier onboarding?
Oh, it can
as a use case.
Very good question. Thank you. It actually can be both. You're right. So in this case, it was the HR side, so the employee onboarding procedures, and here, so everything you can see on HR, I've seen on a real case. So this was all already automated and pretty easy even. But you're right, it can also be supplier onboarding procedure, and here I have already one in mind, which is the supplier onboarding procedure in Ariba, which still up to today for me is too complex, and that's also feedback what I'm getting from everybody, either supplier or internally. And I think here automation can help as well. The thing is, what I didn't mention, when it comes to bots, if you want to have in an end vision a really holistic working system, then you will need in the end also a bot later on for a supplier or for your external parties. So you can have a bot externally on your homepage, which can be accessed through your customers and through your suppliers. So, and this one can then be connected to your internal one. So and this can, and no, it will. So this is the connection which will drive even business execution faster, and many other things
Yeah,
you can do.
looking into.
All right.
Really, really interesting, Dario. Thank you so much for your time today.
Cool
Been
to have
absolutely
like
fascinating.
almost like a self-service type of
Yeah.
ticket between it.
Yes, you were right. Yeah, I've seen this already with an insurance company in Germany. Actually, it was a small company. I was very surprised, but this bot actually helped me from the beginning until almost signing the contract digitally through a complete process. And it was not just like, oh, this is a bot. It was already quite sophisticated, and it made fun. And I think if those things are built up properly and implemented properly, they will make fun. And they will bring also more joy to the people. Yeah? So you will not have so many people anymore who dislike it than to work with the things, because it helps them just. It's not burdening them anymore. I think for surviving in the future, and especially in this new world, mindset change needs to be, evaluated maybe or reconsidered.
Yeah.